So I just got back from school. It's 39. Just got back from school and I wanted to wrap up the vlog in here, but I wanted to first, before I wrap up, give you my quick impression of a Broken People's playlist by Chimeka Garricks. I'm going to tell you about my impression while I'm making dinner, while I'm cooking dinner, because if I have to sit down, make the video and then eat later, it might be too late or I might be too hungry to do anything. I'm making potatoes, veggies, scallop, wrap. You have to tear wrap. A Broken People's playlist by Chimeka Garricks. This was my second book by Chimeka Garricks. My first book by Chimeka Garricks was Tomorrow Die Yesterday. If you haven't watched that video, please, I had a book session about that book with Boo and Box. I'll link it above and I'll also put it in the description box. Please go watch it. So this is my second book by Chimeka Garricks, A Broken People's playlist. Funny enough, I've known of A Broken People's playlist before I knew of Tomorrow Die Yesterday. So when Boobies and Boots recommended me to read Tomorrow Die Yesterday, I noticed that it was by the same author because I had A Broken People's playlist on my playlist. What am I saying? A Broken People's playlist on my list of books to read for a while because the cover was just colorful and I was interested. And the title interested me. So when I realized that Tomorrow Die Yesterday was the first book, so I put A Broken People's playlist on pause because I wanted to read the first book first. And I'm glad I read Tomorrow Die Yesterday and then I read A Broken People's playlist because you see that it's also mentioning some details about Tomorrow Die Yesterday in A Broken People's playlist, especially one of the main characters is coming back also in A Broken People's playlist, just like a cameo, like a guest star appearance. And it was interesting because I read Tomorrow Die Yesterday before. So yeah, A Broken People's, I'm having a hard time with this title. A Broken People's playlist, it's not just one story, it's a collection of short stories. Honestly, I don't really read a lot of short stories, or maybe like a collection of short stories. I guess I'm getting too hungry to talk. I don't really read a lot of short stories because I only read like a novel, little one story till the end. So it's a collection of short stories, and those stories are heavy, sad. Some will make you laugh and some will just leave you a bit confused and just questioning life. But at first, I didn't know what to expect. So it was hard for me to get a good rhythm because I'll read a story, it's over, and then now I have to get myself acquainted with the other story with new characters. So at first it was a challenge for me. But I got used to it and I picked up my rhythm and I enjoyed it. It was not bad. I want to talk about my favorite stories. Before I talk about my favorite stories, I wanted to mention that all the stories were named after the songs that the author was listening to while writing them. I thought it was clever. It was really interesting. I only checked out 2 of those songs because yeah, some of them were, a couple of them were only one song I knew. But I didn't really bother checking those songs because I was like, okay, I'll check them later. I only checked like 2 songs. So I thought that was interesting. And it's a collection of a total of 12 stories. These potatoes I'm cutting them too big for a wrap. What was it? A collection of 12 stories. Among the 12 stories, I have 3 favorite stories and I also have honorable mentions. My first favorite story was Lost Star. It's really kind of challenging me to talk about the stories without getting tempted to spoil because they are short stories, so it's really hard to talk about them without spoiling the ending or anything. So I'll be brief about each story because I don't like spoilers. So I'll try to talk about them without spoiling the whole story. Lost Star, it was my favorite. And Lost Star was the first Lost Star was the first song. The first chapter. Hey, I'm so hungry. Lost Star was the first chapter, the first story. And it was just a story of two people who care about each other, who love each other, but really don't get the chance to explore their relationship in another way until it had become late. Mind you, this story, I was even telling my friend, I didn't yet to see a happy ending in those stories. And it also depends on what you define as a happy ending, because most of them were just sad. Most of them have end with a cliffhanger, but it just depends on what you really define as a happy ending for you. But Lost Star, yeah, in a nutshell, is that just two people who care about each other. They didn't try to be more or get more out of the relationship. By the time they're trying to do it, it was sort of late. So yeah, that really ticked me. My second favorite story was Hurts. I think, yeah, that was I'm sorry that I'm not remembering the artist, because those stories are named after songs, but I just remember the title because for me that's the title of the chapters. So yeah, my second favorite story was Hurts. Hurts was really heavy and sad because the main character was diagnosed with cancer and he had not been a good person at all. It had hurt a lot of people. A lot of people. And some of the things just came back to bite him back, but some he had to find reconciliation or forgiveness some other way. But that was a second story where when I read, I felt really sad because it was just sad. And I thought it was just unfortunate for the family of the person and also just for the people that he hurt. And yeah, what I liked about it because it just shows the complexity of humans, and their relationship with their surrounding. And I think the author did an amazing job just detailing the complexity of it without putting the blame on anybody. It's just you read it, you make your own reflection about it. So he's just presenting you the fact this is what happened. So what do you think of it? And that's the thing that really stuck out to me about that story. My third favorite story was titled In the City. Ooh. And what I liked about that story, it's not even about the story per se. The story was not typical, but it was just the way the author wrote that story. Up until now, I finished reading that book now 2 weeks now. I still think about that chapter In the City. What really struck me about that chapter is just the realization that Chimeka Garricks has an amazing way of describing the most mundane things in a way that makes you see in your mind. It's so vivid. His descriptions are so vivid that you realize, sir, you are gifted in your writing, honestly. There is this one scene where there was a chase. There was a policeman following a thief. I don't know if it was a thief or just it was following someone, a young man. And then in the middle of the chase, he described how the young man was running and then his shoe got torn and then he had to step on the mud. And then realizing like maybe it's gonna slow down the race, he has to take off the other shoe. Oh my word! I could see. I was just like, why would you describe such things? Because it's something you might be familiar with. You are running and then your shoe got torn, you got stuck somewhere, and then just the seconds that you have deciding, are you slowing down or you continuing the race without your shoe? And he described it in a way I was just like, let me stop here for a minute. Let me stop here. Did you just describe that? Because there are some things when you see in a book, some description when you see in a book, you're just like, yeah, that's typical, yeah. But there are some things that they are so mundane and they are so realistic. And you see that the author took the time to describe them in a way that, oh, you see that thing that we all know. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, I really enjoyed that. It was really good. And that chapter ended with a cliffhanger, but a good one. A cliffhanger that really made sense. Yeah, I'm trying so hard not to spoil. Yeah, a cliffhanger that really made sense, and the story was just good. Actually, in the city, the story. Sorry, I keep running the knife. Sorry. In the city, the story was set back in Asiama. So if you read Tomorrow Die Yesterday, you remember. Oh, Asiama. I think it was Asiama. Island or something like that. So the story was set back in Asiama. Asiama was also a setting in Tomorrow Die Yesterday. But most of the stories are set in Port Harcourt. One thing about Chimeka Garricks, oh, we're going to Port Harcourt. We are going to be in Port Harcourt. The fourth story that I really enjoyed, I didn't count it among my favorite read. I didn't count it among my favorite story because I just wanted to mention it as an honorable mention because it was a really beautiful story. It was a really beautiful story. Beautiful war. That's my honorable mention. Just at the beginning, the first sentence in that story, it's so catchy. It starts by, perhaps I should have lied when my wife asked me, what does she have that I don't have? I was like, what? What are we talking about here? It's a catchy first sentence. Of course, there is a case of infidelity, but it's just a man who's honest. I mean, let me not defend him, but it's just of those people where they don't do anything wrong and then they decided to mess up. Not they decided, but they mess up, and they're expecting perhaps to gain mercy, forgiveness, because I don't do bad. I've only done it once, you know. And the complexity of the character, all the characters involved, their complexity, the brother of the man and the sister, everybody was just complex. And even the lady who got cheated on, there was such a complexity in that story. And it was just beautiful to witness, and just beautiful how he didn't how can I say, the author didn't overwhelm us with a lot of details, but he gave us enough to make our own judgment. Do you want to defend the men? Do you want to defend the women? Do you want to defend the... So it's just like, I'm serving you everything that you need. You decide for yourself. That's just how I read these stories. And that's why it was just so beautiful, because you can see even the turmoil with the woman, where they decided, should I forgive, should I not forgive, should I let go, should I not let go? And also the men on the other side thinking like, I should be forgiven, right? I love my wife, I still love my wife, and yada yada yada. Mind you, the man was a nerd. I mean, on campus he used to be a nerd, and he was still a nerd anyway. And it was just a beautiful story. A Beautiful War was such an honorable mention, because it's a story that really helped me reflect on a lot of things. Again, just the complexity of human beings. Human beings are such complex entity, and sometimes there are situations where it's not black and white. There'll be times where, okay, it's black and white, it's this and that, but there's a situation where it's not black and white. And just, how do you decide to go about it? So it's just moments where you just have to take up your cross and either move forward or let go or not let go. My second honorable mention will be You Supposed to Know, the last chapter, because clearly it's because it was a beautiful love story. I mean, that's the story that I think didn't have a happy ending like that, but the ending made sense. But it also the chapter where two of the main characters from Tomorrow Die Yesterday appeared, and it was just a way to get to see where they were up to now at the point of their lives, and it was just beautiful, and it was included in a way that was so beautiful. That's why also I enjoyed that story, the last chapter. Kanye and they will appear in that story, and it was just beautiful to see. It was just like, oh, so you guys are still married, you guys are doing good. That's nice. I think that's the most important thing that I enjoy about that story. So these are 3 of my favorite stories in that collection and 2 of my honorable mentions. Overall, it was really a good read. It was hard at the beginning because sometimes I'll just set it aside and I'll forget about it, and because of just the heaviness of it, and also trying to get used to the idea of getting to know different characters all the time. But I really enjoy it. Coming from the hype of Tomorrow Die Yesterday, this one slowed me down a bit. This one was more reflective, and this one was more intimate when you get to know those characters, get to know their story and see what they're going through. It was just more like a quiet moment, and overall it was really a good read. So that's it for me tonight. I'm gonna wrap up the vlog in here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.